Maggie, GFX.
I never forget a face. Serial hair. The writer was a businessman with a remarkable memory for faces. He never forgot a face, but he was unable to remember names. His wife thought that he ought to be a reporter for the newspapers and wait about at first nights at cinemas, looking for all the famous people who go to see films. However, the writer thought that he couldn't do well as a reporter, because he could never remember names. The writer's trouble with names put him in difficulties from time to time. It made him lose some good business. However, he could overcome his trouble with names with a little skill. He didn't let any person realize that he couldn't remember his name. He thought that he gained more than he lost by his strange memory. His memory for faces helped him a lot in business. He was able to connect a face with a place in a big dinner or a football match. He approached people and reminded them of the place, and within 5 minutes, they could talk about business. Later on, he could know their names. He knew every man, woman and child in Barfield by sight. He liked living in Barfield, which is 40 minutes from London, because there was a lot of country there. It is almost a mile from the station. A lot of people traveled up and down the city most days, but he didn't know the names of half of them, although they spoke to each other. His wife complained that he didn't know the names of their neighbors. One evening, he was kept at the office and it was difficult to get to the station in time to catch the train to Barfield. On the train, he met a stranger whom he thought he was one of the newcomers who lived by the bus stop. By connecting his face to Barfield, some of the villagers were unfriendly towards newcomers, but he was friendly towards them as business might come from one of them. He started to talk to the stranger on the train, but he couldn't get much information out of him. He could generally find out what a man's work was in 10.5 minutes. That's the time it takes from Mellingham to Barfield by train, but he couldn't get the stranger to talk. He thought that this was because the man was tired and had been working too hard. He says, "It's only human nature." He is referring the fact that it is natural for people to talk about themselves, if they are given the opportunity. He suspected that the stranger on the train did not own a car, because he didn't expect a fellow who lived in a cheap house to own a car. He boasted about a bit of business he had done because he thought boasting is a good way to make the stranger talk, but this didn't make him talk. He was kind-hearted. He woke the stranger who was still asleep when a train reached Barfield station. When they came out of the station, it was quite dark and raining heavily. There was a strong wind and it was bitterly cold. So he offered to give the stranger a lift as there wasn't a bus for a quarter of an hour. Suddenly the stranger asked him to let him get out of the car. He was surprised, because there wasn't a house within 500 yards, and it was raining and blowing like the end of the world. As soon as he slowed down, the stranger hit him hard on the back of his head and pulled him out of the car. When he came to his senses, he found himself lying in a ditch in the rain with a bad headache. He went to Barfield police station to report that the stranger had stolen his car, his new umbrella, a gold watch and some money. As soon as he got there, he remembered who the man was. His picture was on the wall. Under the picture there were some words: "Wanted for robbery with violence and attempted murder, John." The writer forgot his name again. He couldn't keep names in his head, but he never forgot a face.